So hi, my name is Gretchen and I work here at the Jefferson County Library, and today we are going to be doing a talk about the I Am a Story project, and it's called Listen, the First 100 Stories. On December 21st, I was able to get the 100th story, and it was called This is Such a Friendly Place, or This Town is So Friendly, and it was by Kathy Skyhawk. And we'll be playing that story in a little bit. But I just wanted to share some of the stories that we have collected over the last 2 years. We've been doing this for 2 years now. And I had made it my goal to try and get at least 100 stories by the new year. And so I was able to do that. And we wanted just to share some of those stories with us. For those of you who don't know, the I Am a Story project, and I can't believe that anybody doesn't know, but because I've been pounding it for 2 years. But the I Am a Story project is about collecting the stories of people who live here in Jefferson County. And it's not necessarily about Jefferson County, although most of the stories are something that happened here. But we just wanted to collect these stories, collect the voices of those people telling the stories, because we understand that in the future, and it's a part of our history. There's a book out that was called Jefferson County Reminiscences. It came out in about 1950, and it was all about the pioneers and them coming into this area. And I got done reading the book, and I said, well, then what happened? And so that's kind of where this sprung up, through a bunch of different discussions that the staff had, that we wanted to find out some of the stories, as many stories as we could, of the people that live here now. So that's kind of what the premise of this whole I Am a Story project is about. And so tonight I was just going to play a couple of the different stories, and we can listen to them and kind of get an idea of what people are talking about. So the first thing I needed you to know is that you can listen to all of these stories on our webpage. If you go onto our webpage, there's a little quick link that says I Am a Story, and it will bring you to a page that will say listen to the stories. So let's go ahead and listen to one of the stories, one of the first stories that I got when I don't know where I am. Oh, there we are. I don't know how to work two things here, I guess. There we go. So the first story that I actually got was about a cat. So we're going to listen to this story by Elise Todd. Just a minute. Everybody close your eyes.
I can't even remember my own. Why would I remember yours?
Why didn't it open it to it? Sorry, it was supposed to open straight to something. There, cat in school. So we're going to listen to this story. And one of the things that we've tried to do when we have these stories is always have a picture with them, so that people can have something beautiful to look at. No, not yet. Now go.
Elise Todd?
So, Elise, I understand that you had this unusual cat.
Yes, his name is Oreo.
And how did you get Oreo?
My dad was on a walk and he followed him home, actually.
The cat followed him home, or the dad?
The cat followed my dad home.
Oh, okay. And why did you decide to keep him?
He was a very good mouser, and our other cat is not.
And how did he get his name?
Well, we had our other cat named Cookie already, and he's a black cat with a couple white patches, so we're like, okay, Oreo, that fits with our theme.
Was your cat like black and white and black?
No, it's like he's black, and then there's a couple like white splotches on his belly, like kind of circular.
Okay. And so that's Oreo.
Uh-huh.
And what do people say usually when you tell them that you have an Oreo?
I don't know. Really.
No? Is this your cat or your sister's cat? Or
Communally owned.
Oh, it's communally owned?
Actually, he owns the neighborhood.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But he's a good mouser.
Yes.
And that's all that matters with cats, right?
Sometimes, yes.
All right. All right. So I understand that Oreo went on an adventure. What happened?
Yes, he did. He came to school one time.
By himself?
No. So for me, the story begins at the beginning of my school day. So we got into school. It was all normal. But throughout the beginning of the day, I've been hearing meowing.
Mm-hmm.
I just assume, oh, it's one of those boys, you know?
Yeah.
So then it's like, we have the segments of the day, and it's the third one or so, I think, and we're going off to music, because that was one of the things. So my classmate, she tries to move the cat from the desk to her backpack, and I don't remember her reasoning for that, but there we go. So, no, it was from her backpack to the desk. So she did that, and then we're all lined up, and we're all quiet, and there's meowing, and my teacher's like, okay, go open your desk. I really don't know how he got it right the first time, but he did, so. And my classmate opens the desk, and Oreo pops out, and naturally I don't think it's my cat, because why would my cat be there in this classmate's desk? So I just go off to music without thinking too much of it. I think I commented to my friend, oh, that looked like my cat. Totally not mine, nope. So we go off to music, and maybe 5-10 minutes in, we get this call from the office. The teacher's all, hey, Elise, it's for you. So I go up to answer it, and the office ladies are like, hey, is this your cat? I'm like, I don't know. Why would my cat be here? Does he have white spots on his belly? And they're like, well, I guess we'll find out. And then I guess they hung up because I waited for a couple more minutes and they didn't say anything. So I hung up the phone and I continue on about my day. Well, at the end of the day, the principal comes into the room and is all, Elise, your cat got home safely. And I'm like, what? Okay. So I went and asked my mom about it after school, and she gets this call from the office. It's like, hey, you need to come pick up your cat. And actually, she's also confused because why is my cat at the school? So she goes and picks him up, and office ladies loved him. So he was having a good time.
He could have been an office cat. How did he get in your backpack? Or?
So we have this one neighbor who rides the bus to school in the morning, and according to her, this is her telling it to me, Oreo climbed in her backpack because she had banana bread or some other food type thing in there, and she zipped it up with Oreo in there without her noticing somehow.
Wow, okay.
So she claims she doesn't notice until the bus ride. And so she takes him to school and passes him off to this other girl who she knew was my classmate for some reason. Mm-hmm. So then the classmate has him. And
she's the one that put him in the desk.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. It's like Mary had a little lamb, but now it's Elise had a little cat.
Oreo goes to school.
Awesome.
And it wasn't my fault.
Nope. Okay, so that was my first story. As you can tell, it was kind of rough. I was actually doing a lot of the questions and trying to get her to tell her story. And once she got into it, she was doing fine. But I definitely have changed how I do things now because it's not about my voice or the person who's doing the recording. It's about listening to the voice of the person who is there. And let's go back here. So those are stories. There's a bunch of different stories there about animals that you can see. A very interesting one by Steve Gibson, who is a champion roper. Mike Funk, how he came to have a special Swiss cowbell that he got from a friend who was out on the Rajneesh's land. So all kinds of different ones that I have there. And then, man, I don't know whether to do it on the computer or on the, sorry. So, one of the other areas that we have is a bilingual area. And what this is where someone comes and they speak mostly Spanish. And they tell their story in Spanish so that people can go there. The great thing about the program that we use called Memra allows you to do translation also in transcript. So that will come in handy when we start going with the book. And then the next section, I have all kinds of stories about community. And as I said, there was a story here about a lady named Kathy. You gotta scroll down there. This town is so friendly. Oh, good. See, it opened up. And as you can see, there's her picture, so you know what she looks like. And sometimes when I get the pictures, I also try to get more than just one. So we're going to listen to her story.
My name is Kathy, and I have lived in Madras for a little over 5 years. When my husband and I retired, we didn't want to stay in the valley anymore. We didn't like the traffic. We didn't like the crowds. And people were so rude. And so we started looking for houses in Central Oregon. And we looked at a couple places in Redmond, but we put an offer in, and then somebody would outbid us. So it kind of discouraged us. And our real estate guy said, well, there's a couple places in Madras. So we came up to Madras, and we were here early for our appointments. So we stopped at Safeway to get a snack, and there were half the store was people of Native American ancestry, and my husband was Native American, and he was so thrilled to have natives that he could relate to. And so we found a house in Madras, and we moved over here, and he absolutely loved it. And the first time he went up to Indian Health Services, the guy at the front desk was somebody that he had used to work with at Shamawa, and he kept running into people that he knew from Shamawa that had been co-workers, and we loved it here. It's the town is so friendly. It was so nice to go into a store just 2 or 3 times and have people recognize you and greet you. And the young people in town are so respectful. It's just amazing compared to the way population is in the valley. So, and I volunteer at the senior center. My husband passed away a couple years ago, and I just needed a social place to go and visit and maybe meet some new people, and I enjoy it thoroughly, and I love it here. And no matter what my kids say, I'm not leaving.
So that's one of those feel-good ones that makes you go, man, I love the fact that people love being here. And it's actually quite amazing because I have quite a few stories about people who come here and they're just like, this is such a friendly town. This is such a great little place to raise my children. And so that was a very encouraging one for me. And I get to see Kathy quite frequently, so that's even better. I did want to play this one because I just thought this was a great little story by Joe Kernowitz. He's talking about his friends out at Rajneeshpuram. I was like, I think you're the only one that has a good story about those people.
Well, my name is Joe, and this is my story. I have the Napa store here, and I opened it up in 1979. In 1981, the Rajneesh came to Antelope, Oregon, and they started their compound down in the now Young Life area. And we got involved with those folks. They had probably 700 to 800 people come in the first year, and we set up a parts department. We made an agreement with them, and we set up a heavy duty parts department for all their cat and heavy equipment and trucks, cranes, all the things that they had down there. And we trained their parts guys for that, and then we started up another parts department for autos and pickups for all the Rajneesh cars and pickups that they had, along with the Rajneesh's 31 Rolls Royces that he had when he came here. And we went up there 3 times a week. It was about a 110-mile trip all the way around, round trip. And we did a huge amount of business. It was really a great opportunity for us to build our business as well as additional inventory. We sold so much parts that we actually had to start taking trailers of parts out there 3 times a week. And with 4-wheel drive, and we go over the pass between Antelope and to the bottom of the John Day River where the compound was located. And just trivia information, that pass between Antelope and the compound is 100 feet higher than Mount Hood at Government Camp. And one winter, I went down there, and it started snowing so hard that it took almost all of my 25 gallons of fuel to leave the compound to get to Antelope, because I had to chain up all 4 tires to pull the trailer back up out of that country. And fortunately, we knew everybody up in that Antelope, and I stopped at a farmer's place and got some fuel from it and continued to town. But the really cool thing about the Rajneesh is those folks were all real. They're all vegetarians. They live life. They wanted someone else to take care of all their needs and wants, and they were just nice folks. I met a pianist with the New Jersey Orchestra, and he was a parts department for the cars and pickups manager. And within the 3 years that we serviced that operation, he and I were really good friends, and we talked about different places. He went all over the world, and when they shut down, they owed us about $4,000 or $5,000, so we always got paid once a week. And of course, when we pulled the plug, we knew we weren't going to get paid. And about 4 months later, they were still putting stuff away, and he called me up and says, "Can I meet you down at the store Saturday morning at 4?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but anytime Saturday, I need to do it at 4. I said, "Okay." So I met him down there, and he brought up a truckload of parts that came to what they owed us, and he offloaded it. We offloaded it. He made us whole. He didn't have to do that. And for almost 10 years, I always got a Christmas card from him from wherever he lived, and he was really a really cool person. And the other party was a gal that was in charge of the foods, and she always made sure that I always got cheese sandwiches in place of the tofu sandwiches for lunch, because they were all vegetarians, and they had the weirdest lettuces and salad dressings, but it was an experience that no one else would be able to experience, and I'm glad I was here. And that's my story.
So I just thought it was interesting that he ended it by saying that the guy sent him Christmas cards. I mean, here he was living out there on Antelope, and then he got done as like sending Christmas cards to Joe. I just thought that was very interesting. One of the things that I have found out about this whole process is that as I listen to the stories, it helps me to know the person a little bit better, and I can start asking questions when I see them again. For example, the other day I went and Kelly Similik, County Commissioner, I had actually recorded one of his stories. And I didn't realize this, but his parents bred champion painted horses. And so he was talking about that. Well, then I went online to find out more about painted horses and read a lot about what the Similik farm had done, Barlinks. And so tonight when I saw him, I said, "So that horse that's a statue outside, is that Macho Man?" He goes, "You got it." So it was really cool that I could make that connection with him. And I've been able to do that as I've listened to some of these other stories and been able to say to people an open conversation about how, about their lives and everything. And one day I was doing a story, let's see if I can find it. One day I was doing a story by a guy by the name of Jerry Greene. And I believe it's underneath. Oh, where is it? Sorry. I know.
While you're looking for that, when the Rosnish were here, I was the advisor for the high school newspaper.
Uh-huh.
And 3 or 4 of my students went out to Rosnish Pro and had an interview. And the story got in the paper. And they were treated very well.
Yeah, so everybody in Madras is friendly. See, it was Wasco County that wasn't. That's right.
Oh, where is his story? Well, if I can find
Did
it.
you type it in by name?
Not here. I could if I went into Memra.
Well, isn't there a search over there?
No, it's not that.
That's the searching for the site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good idea.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have anything in the military?
I don't have it under military, but I do have one under work. That is actually one of the first ones I got under work. I've been able to collect quite a few under work. It was going pretty slow there, but I'm going to do this one here. Some of you might know Tim, tall man, very grumpy. His wife came in yesterday, and I said, "You should come play cribbage." And she's like, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "I know. I don't want two grumpy men to play cribbage with." And she just laughed.
Hi, my name's Tim Williamson, and I used to work for the Secret Service for a while. The way I got into that job was I had a college kid that came back. I was cutting meat in the grocery store. He came back and told me some Secret Service agents were there and were looking for people to work. And I said, "Wow, that sounds like a really neat thing." And the kid told me, "Yeah, but you're too stupid to pass the test." So that's what got me started. I passed the test. The wife and I moved back there in about 1970 and went through the school. And what they called us was Executive Protective Service. It used to be the White House Police. And we worked in the little shacks that are around the White House and stuff. And I went through their schooling back there. And I worked when Richard Nixon was there. And I used to see him just about every morning. And I really had a lot of fun doing that job. And it was a lot of fun. I got to see every part of the White House, parts that people don't even know about. And it was really a neat thing. And then in about 1972, we had a kind of a bad accident in the family, and we decided to leave, and we came back home. That's just about it. It was a real nice job. Enjoyed being in the White House.
And that's him there. As soon as he got done, I was like, "You're not going to have to shoot me now, are you?" Because you told me that there was places in the White House nobody knew about. But it has actually been a real joy for me to be able to, I just wish I could find that story by Greene. Why isn't it going? Is it not there? Nope. Okay. I'm sorry. I have a list of all the ones I wanted to show, and they're over there in that room.
Well, run over and grab it.
No, it's too late now.
Do you want me to go grab it?
No, it's okay. I'm sorry. I wish it was better organized, but I just want to encourage people to. I don't think it's under community. I thought it was under daily life. Sorry. I really want to play this story because it's quite fascinating. We're looking for something that says something about sailing. No. Nobody sees it, huh?
Is it on my desk?
No, it's not. Sorry.
You don't know where your list is?
No, I don't. That's my problem.
Can you search in the other tab, Gretchen?
Yes. You're right. I could do that. Thank you. Sorry. Anyways, they are organized underneath different topics. One of my there it is, Sailing into Marriage. That's the one. You know Jerry. Some of you might know Jerry. And it was funny because I was at the community center, and of course Steve was like, "Oh, you should get his story." Of course, Steve won't tell me his story.
Jerry Greene. I was born here in Madras, wasn't born in Madras, I was born in Idaho, Wilder, Idaho, but my grandfather came here in 1920 and bought a dryland farm up here. And I was raised on a farm, and then when I come close to being drafted, well, I decided I wanted to choose the service I went into. So I went into the Navy, and then right out of boot camp and electronics school, they sent me to the Philippine Islands. And so anyway, while I was there, I was engaged to my wife, Carmen. Her name was Carmen Piercy. We separated. Of course, I had to go overseas. They flew me to the Philippine Islands. I boarded a bus for Subic Bay and got an eye opener because I was raised on a farm with tractors. I went to after we got out on the road. Why, here I noticed a farmer out there in his field, and he was walking behind a caribou with a plow made out of sticks, big heavy sticks. And I thought, man alive, I wasn't doing too bad here in the U.S. So anyway, I got there and I spent 1 year, and Carmen said she wanted to come over and get married. So she got on an old tramp steamer headed loaded with logs, and headed up out of Seattle to down the Aleutians and down, and she got off in Japan and did a little tour, and then she got off in Korea and did a little touring there, and then pulled into Manila. And she pulled into Manila. I had a car all rented and everything, and we drove to Manila and got married in the Methodist Church and off of Dewey Boulevard there in Manila. And then we spent another year there, and in the process, our first daughter was born there. They gave us a choice. We could either have her registered as a Filipino or a U.S. citizen. Well, we didn't want to have her as a Filipino, so anyway, that's where we how we got married.
I actually loved that story as he was telling me, and when we got done, I asked him more questions about it, and he was talking about how there was this large sailor guy who, when his wife was traveling, she was traveling with another lady, didn't know each other, but they were sharing a bunkhead, and she was from Japan, and so when they got off, no, she was from Korea, and so when they got off in Japan, this sailor decided that he needed to go and protect these two women walking around Japan, and they did the same thing in Korea. And so, but what was really neat about this time with Jerry was that afterwards, as I was getting ready to leave, he came up to me and he said, "Now I'm gonna," he said, thank you for listening to my story."
And you found the church, right?
And we found the church, and I came back and I found the church. I got a picture of it, and I guess he got it because good. And so it's just being able to do those kind of things, to reach out into the community and to find out the interesting things that people are doing. I mean, today Ryan Dempsey gave his story, and he was talking about working in in Singapore, and I wanted to stop the video right then, the audio right then, and ask him all these questions. And as soon as we got done and I turned it off, I was like, "Did you work at SAS?" And he's like, "No, I worked at this other place." And I said, "Well, I was at ICS," and he's like, "Oh, I know where that was." And it was just so nice to make that connection. And that's why we want to do this project. Not only to teach people about other people and to have them show interest in the people of this community, not only to collect the history of these people, of the people who live here in Jefferson County, but to make those connections, to find those things that bring us together. We have enough that tears us apart. We want to find those things that bring us together. And that is why we are doing this project, the I Am a Story project. And actually, I want to thank almost everybody in this room for telling their story. I won't look at the one person who hasn't told their story. I said I wasn't going to look at the person who hasn't told the story. But I know you are. But we just want people to understand why we're doing it. And I'm hoping that in this next year, that we here at Jefferson County Library can collect another 100 stories. I already have 25 for this year, so they really only have to do 75 more. Actually, with Stevens and Terry's, we probably are closer to 30. So, but I wish everybody could experience what I experience when I hear these stories. And then I'm editing them, a lot of them, and I'm listening and going, oh yeah, that, kind of thing. I gotta look that up. Actually, the story about Jerry and the church is that I had actually been to that church. Because when I was traveling one time when we were in Manila also. And we were like, well, let's go to church somewhere. And our hotel was right around the corner. So when he said that, I was like, wait a minute, I know that road, kind of thing. So it was just those neat connections. And I want to encourage everybody who's listening to this to go out and get the stories and tell them. You can tell them onto Memra. We have a way that you can actually just record them straight onto that from the comfort of your own home. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'd prefer that you come in here and tell us this story. But I can't say enough about this project. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. And I'm not going to cry. But thank you all for coming. And I would also encourage you to tell people to listen to these stories, to find out about the people in their community. I'm hoping that someday schools might use this to say, hey, you should listen to this story about this person who was in the Army and his wife sailed halfway across the world to, get married and things like that. Or, there's just so many stories on here. And so I just encourage everybody to get on and listen to the stories and then also tell your story. So thank you.
Before you're done, first of all, I want to thank the American Library Association for funding this project, and also the ARPA, American.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it without them.
They fund the ARPA grant funded a lot of this. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to let you know that we're losing Gretchen. She's moving over to the Valley. And
even though Kathy told me not to, because she says it's horrible and people are rude.
And she's really been, I think, the heart of our library for the last couple of years. She remembers birthdays, she remembers parties. I'll try not to cry too.
I'll step on your toe if you step on mine.
And we can't replace Gretchen. The void is going to be pretty large. But I think you can all honor her if you come in and tell a story. And I'm sure she'll be back from time to time, but we're just really going to miss Gretchen, and I'm not sure how we're going to go on, but we will.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Just keep collecting stories. That's all I ask.
You can start this over there.
No.
You don't want to know their stories?
I do, but I'm not going to record them. So, anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.